Hi English 10, this is Ms. Long here, and this is the video that goes with Unit 6, Session 4, that final session in our Steinbeck unit. Now, if you don't normally watch these video updates, I recommend that you watch this particular one, because this particular session is a little bit more complex than normal. Now, this is the session that begins right after you finished your book, whatever your Steinbeck book was, and it's a session that ends in this glorious destination called spring break. Believe me, I'm more excited than you are about this. In fact, I think I'm probably more excited than my kids about this particular break. But this is the session that ends on Sunday, March 20th. Now, I will just let you know that I am not going to be sitting at my computer at 12:01 a.m. on March 21st. And so if you continue to work through spring break to produce a quality product for this session, I'm okay with that, but I'm not okay with everybody waiting until Sunday night to produce that quality, the second Sunday night to produce that quality work. So if you do decide to use spring break to complete some of this work, please be sure that you have paced yourself appropriately. Really don't want to see some poor work coming in because you didn't do that. And if that's the case, then I might go back and retroactively apply those late penalties. But I just wanted you to make you aware of that. BOCES students, I wanted just to address the fact that you guys have a different spring break, and I am planning to have Unit 7, Session 1 available for you so that you can start on the session that the Jeffco students will start on after spring break. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So this session is going to be a little bit different in terms of the organization, and you can see that as you look at the list of pages for this session, and you have 1, 2, 3 folders within the list of pages. The reason for that is that if I were to include every single page in the full text that I've instead put in these folders, it would become very long and very cumbersome. So I have taken 3 sets of pages that relate to the 4 different books that we've read and put them in folders. Now, for your purposes, you can still navigate back and forth with the buttons at the top just as you would. The whole session is called Unit 6, Session 4, but within that there are folder titles. So for example, Steinbeck Choice Project is here. There are a number of different pages and you can skip back and forth. Let's say I click on Examine Character, and then I want to go back to where I started. I can either go back to the beginning of the folder, and then from there I can go back to my session. So you can navigate like normal, just be aware that folders will make things look a little bit different as you click on that, and you get different headings there, and then you can go back to your Unit Session 4, or Unit 6 Session 4 here, and then skip around the pages. So clear as mud. Hopefully you'll have no problems navigating. Now, all that said, I want to walk you through the session and the 4 assignments that we have. We have a Steinbeck Choice Project that is the bulk of your points this week. A book discussion worth 50 points, more than usual, but you should have lots to say now that this book has been read and you're done with it and you want to think about it. A weekly journal, and then a book quiz which will be available on Wednesday and thereafter. I want to give everyone a chance to finish reading. But let me talk first about the Steinbeck Choice Project, since that's likely to be the thing that will send you to me with questions. The basic idea is this. You have to acquire 100 points worth of activities to show what you got out of your book. You can choose whether you want to do one 100-point activity that will take more time, or you can choose, say, 2 50-point activities, or you can choose a 20-pointer, another 40-pointer, another 40-pointer. You can somehow get to those 100 points any way you want to do that. It's your choice on how you do it. And there are a lot of different options for you, to be honest. I love choice. Sometimes I have to do what the district tells me to, but I love being able to give you choices wherever I can, and I kind of went overboard on this. So lots of different options here. Your job is to choose 100 points worth. I will mention that if you have done 90% of the required assignments for this session, for this unit, 90% of the required assignments in Unit 6, then you can do extra credit using some of these points. So if you wanted to get 150 points worth of activities instead of 100 points, get that extra credit, as long as you've done the regular work first, I'm okay with that. So know that that option is there. But let me have you take a look at some of these project options. For instance, we've got Tell the Story here. You can create a timeline, a poem, a cartoon. Anime fans are going to love that one. You have the choice of making an anime about your book. A children's book. You can also tell your story as a reader by listing the top 10 things you learned, writing a job evaluation for yourself as a reader and a student, and using your vocabulary words. Now you'll notice that the point value is listed at the end of each option, and the requirements are listed here. Telling the story is not the only choice you have, though. You can do a traditional essay, particularly if you're the kind of person that's really good at writing. You can talk about the theme of your novel, the American dream, Steinbeck's influence on his books. You go back to visit our wiki from session 1, figure out how Steinbeck's life actually influenced your book, and then you can delve into the title of your book and figure out why that title might or might not be appropriate. Again, that's a traditional essay. Not necessarily for everybody, but some good writers really may want to choose that. Creative writing is another option. Come up with a different ending for your book, a prequel, a sequel. You can get poetic with this and create a poem that describes a scene, or have a chat message or an instant message or text conversation with your characters by taking them out of the current setting or their book setting and putting them into our contemporary setting. Another category for you, this is in honor of my son, the Ooey Gooey Man. There are lots of artistic responses. You can paint, sketch an original picture of your book and describe that, or a scene of your book, I guess you should say, not the book itself, but the scene. You can write and perform an original song, find music that other people have written to express the idea, record a dramatic reading of you in a particular scene, or if you've got some interesting graphic design, make up the movie poster selling this movie of your book. Lots of options there. Character, you can do a character alphabet, and there's some examples here to illustrate that. Interview your character as if your character were a real person, or create an advice column for your character, the problem that the character is facing. Similarly, we've got some using technology like a bookcast audio program, a video or slide share, a Prezi presentation, much like what you did in the fall with your Unit 1 books. And for the full points, you can then schedule that and present that to me. I think that was an idea that came from students, actually. So I think at least one person might want to do that. And then the last option here is to create a Facebook page for a character in your book. And there's a template you can use right here. Next option, do some applications to real life. Create a travel guide for the place that your book was set. I did have the pleasure of going to California last summer. Salinas, California, Monterey, beautiful scenery. And I could give you an example of this from a student who created a travel guide last year. So something that you might want to consider. Lots of political possibilities here. Steinbeck was himself connected with several U.S. presidents, was politically involved. He was an advocate for the underdog. So think about candidates that are in our current morass of politics and how Steinbeck might respond to these different candidates. And so the last thing on this page is an option to volunteer, and that is find a cause that Steinbeck might have supported, say a kitchen, shelter, or soup kitchen type thing, and complete some volunteer work for that. Let me know if you decide to do this, because you may need more than the week designated for this project, and be sure that you do get a supervisor's contact information for that work. So no matter which one you choose, I'm going to be looking for these things. This is the rubric you're going to be evaluated on. Your knowledge of the book. Are you able to use very detailed, specific quotations? Are you able to channel Steinbeck? Your depth of thought, your creativity, your professional appearance in your editing, that's things like spelling words and conventions, and did you complete all the requirements that were listed on the previous page? So be sure to check those out before you turn things in. Now your second task this week, not as important as the project, but still a huge part of evaluating how well you've really done with this book, and hopefully something fun for you to engage in, is a discussion. Now there's 4 books, so there are 4 different discussion pages. You only need to do one, and it may seem obvious that that one should be your book, but you never know. So you are welcome to look at what other people say. I don't promise there will be no spoilers, but the one you need to participate on is the one book that you told me in assignment 6.13 that you were planning to read. And each one of these has different discussion questions. Some of them are related, but you choose one of these and write a very thorough response, and then you support that with your text and write a response to your peers that also reflects your knowledge of the text. The third thing you'll be doing is a weekly journal where I'm going to ask you to evaluate your understanding of this unit by addressing your reading comprehension strategies, patterns and motifs, and what personal connections you made with your book. So these are also things to be looking for as you are finishing your project up. You'll do your typical journal entry, give that to me a link, and then the last part of this whole session, thing you do last, is take a quiz on your book. And this is a 40-point quiz, and you'll be taking only the quiz for your book. And again, that should be obvious, but you might be surprised that some people will be confused thinking, do I have to take them all? This is not where I'd recommend you look at the other books. You take only the quiz for your book, and you'll take it one time. It will be available after Wednesday, and that's to give everybody a chance to finish, so there's not a long period of time when that quiz is available. So that is about it. It's going to wrap it up. We will again be heading off into spring break after this. Again, I recommend that you be in touch with me with any questions. You probably will have some. I expect questions this week. So have fun with this. Have a great week, and I look forward to hearing from you.